Hello and welcome to MMA Crypt's Fighting Talk. On today's show, we'll be covering episode 2 of The Ultimate Fighter Season 19, Pendred vs Edgar, as Cathal Pendred took on Hector Urbina. Joining me on today's show to discuss episode 2 will be Derek Love. Welcome to MMA Crypt's Fighting Talk, Derek.
Thanks for having me, Greg.
Now, I want to start today's show off, Derek, with a couple of the assistant coaches from Team Penn and from Team Edgar. Now, I noticed that Frankie Edgar, as World Series of Fighting's Vice President, Ali Abdelaziz, is one of his assistant coaches. Now, apparently, he's also Frankie Edgar's manager, so that explains Ali Abdul's close ties with the UFC. Are you shocked to see Ali Abdul as one of the assistant coaches for Frankie Edgar there?
No, not really. Like Edgar said, he's I think he said he was a judo black belt or a judo medalist. I can't remember which one.
Yeah, that was fucking crazy. I didn't even know.
Yeah, it seems like the kind of guy you'd want to have as a coach. And if they're, he's been Frankie Edgar's manager, he is Frankie Edgar's manager. So they're obviously probably fairly close. So why not have him be a manager?
Did you know beforehand that he was his manager? Because that's the first I knew.
I had no idea. The only thing I knew is that Mark Coleman was going to be on the show. I had no idea who the other coaches were going to be.
Well, we'll get to Mark Coleman in just a minute, actually. I wanted to discuss Mark Coleman. Speaking of Ali Abdelaziz, he actually got into a fucking Twitter war with Vinny Magalhaes. It got pretty heated at one point. Obviously, they was talking like, give me a call, and apparently Ali Abdul gave him a ring and he didn't pick up and whatnot, so it turned pretty heated. I wouldn't say there was going to have a scrap about it, but a few harsh words were said. I think he said something along the lines of, you lost to a 40-year-old in your last fight, so Vinny Magalhaes. So obviously, Ali Abdul don't mind throwing down with these fighters, I suppose, so if talks turn sour, then he won't mind giving him a judo throw. He's pretty well decorated as well, too. So that's fucking interesting. He's not just like a judo guy. He's pretty well decorated. He's won some tournaments and whatnot, so I believe. Is that what Frank Edgar said?
Yeah, that's what I believe he said.
He said he's a champion, I think he said. I'm sure he said he was a judo champion.
We know because of Ronda Rousey how effective judo can be in MMA. And even before Ronda Rousey, Carl Parisian. If you know how to use your judo for MMA, it is extremely effective, and it's not something a lot of people are trained for.
Well, speaking of Team Edgar's coaches, he also had Ricardo Almeida as one of his coaches. Now, obviously, he's been brought in as a BJJ guy mainly, but the thing I like about Ricardo Almeida is he's a well-rounded fighter too. So not only can he teach them stuff on the ground, he can also get in and actually spar with these guys. He can be a decent sparring partner for these fighters too, because he's roughly around the same size. Because it's a season of light heavyweights and middleweights, so he's certainly around the middleweight size. The light heavyweights might be a little bit too big for him, but obviously when you come into the house, you always fight a weight class above what you are. So really, this is a season of welterweights and middleweights if you think about it. So that's a really high-level sparring partner to have. Would you agree there, Derek?
Absolutely. Ricardo Almeida is a great coach, too, from what I've heard from any fighters ever trained with him. I know he's done wonders with Edgar, too.
Now, you spoke about him a minute ago there, Derek. Obviously, Mark Coleman. Now, I love this guy. I don't want to seem like I'm bashing on him because I've watched Mark for years, always been a fan of him. Him and Kevin Randleman, not to mention Phil Baroni, the Hammer House guys. So, what's that other guy, that really tall one who went in the Ultimate Fighter Season 10? I liked him too. Bit of a shit fighter, but really goofy. He stamped fuck out of Frank Mir against the cage. Wes Sims, that was it, wasn't it? Yeah, I love that guy too. He was in the Hammer House. But how old did he look? He looks really out of shape. Like, I really think he can teach these guys some stuff, obviously. He can talk them through it. He can, talk through certain moves, certain transitions. But do you think that BJ Penn would have been better getting in, a more active wrestler, someone who can get in and actually roll with these guys full force, I
think BJ Penn's going to be wrestling with these guys full force. I think Coleman is just there for, pretty much technique. He's not going to be obviously not sparring with anybody. The guy's got man boobs. He looks, I guess we're being like, got to be damn near 50 now. He looks like he's in pretty good shape, but any of those young guys would take him to the ringer, I'd imagine, if they actually sparred.
Well, BJ said, he said, who can stop Mark Coleman's takedown? I shouldn't think this, but when he said that, I thought probably the whole team could. Is that just wrong, Derek? Is that wrong to think that?
If it was 15 years ago, it wouldn't be, but now, today, you can think that. I think it's pretty safe to say that unless there's some of those guys who can't wrestle whatsoever, any one of those guys should be able to stop a Mark Coleman takedown.
Well, I'll stop there before, I get the Mark Coleman fans on my back. I probably already have now. I'm a Mark Coleman fan, trust me, I really am. I'm just trying to see things from a logical sense of coaching. Whether they should have brought in a guy who could get in there and actually roll with them a little bit more. Obviously, you mentioned BJ, but BJ's, he's a lightweight, especially with him cutting down to 145 now. He's going to be around the lightweight size, rolling with these guys who put on some weight, who are about, a good 25, 35 pounds heavier than him. Well, let's have a look, 155. No, they're not. They're going to be like, some of them are like fucking 50 pounds heavier. So, BJ is good. He's one of the most flexible guys ever to take down. You just literally, you can single leg this guy all day long. You just post on his other leg and just uppercut the fuck out of you. But I just felt like more of an active wrestler would have been, more useful in a way. But hey, BJ Penn knows his stuff, so. Well, let's move on to the actual lead up to the fight here, Derek. There's obviously the interviews with the fighters where they talk to the TV screen and whatnot, and then we had the weigh-ins afterwards. But we'll start with the interviews where they talk to the camera basically and discuss certain things. Now, Cathal mentioned that he started competing in mixed martial arts because he wanted to achieve things in the sport, and he wanted to be the best. Now, a lot of these guys, they get into mixed martial arts for the money, they get in for the fame. Now, people who do it because they want to be famous, they lose the passion, the passion will die down a little quicker for me. Now, for those who do it for the money, Derek, these guys in the gym, when you start doing it for the money, to pay the bills and your love starts to go, and you haven't really got the desire to be the best. I feel like every day in the gym it's going to get harder and harder, It's just going to be every time you wake, every time you leave the gym, you're sore. It's just going to become that much harder, when it's for the money. Especially when you actually come into some money, you're like, oh well, I ain't so bad off now. Mixed martial arts will easily be put on the back burner. Now, guys like Cathal, who just have this raw determination, it's all about the belts, it's all about the records, it's all about what you achieve. Guys like Cathal, they're the guys who are made to be champions. They're the guys who you're going to remember in the sport of mixed martial arts. Would you agree with that, Derek?
Absolutely. If guys like him remind me of guys like GSP, to be honest.
Speaking of GSP, he did all his sports psychologist thing, didn't he? Now, I actually spoke to a sports psychologist who works with a lot of the Straight Blast Gym guys. He's obviously worked with Cathal in the past. It's interesting because you get in a cage, it's probably one of the hardest sports you can do. Just training, let alone going in and actually fighting, then the injuries afterwards. And, you look at when you get you have to have these knee surgeries and you get put out for months on end, sometimes up to a year and a half. Look at Dominic Cruz, the poor bastard. Now, if you was doing it to be famous and if you was doing it for the money, if you was Dominic Cruz right now, you would quit. Now, Dominic Cruz hasn't quit. Do you see what I'm saying? Guys like him, you need that in mixed martial arts, really. It's one of the toughest sports out there. Like football over here, a lot of these guys, they do it for the fame. They get shitloads of money. But they don't perform each and every week to the best of their abilities. They don't give the fans what they pay for a lot of the time. And, I feel like guys like Cathal, every time they're in the gym, they're soaking it all up. They want to learn. They want to push through the pain. They want the sleepless nights. Well, I don't think they want the sleepless nights, but, they live through it in a way. So, he really impressed me with that speech. He's got in there as one of the favourites to win it. And rightly so with that sort of determination. I actually want to discuss about his reputation in just a minute, actually, because something really stuck out for me in the episode 2, where all the fighters they had a lot of respect for Cathal. They sort of knew that he was a decent fighter, but we'll get to that in just a minute. Now we'll move on to the weigh-ins here, Derek. Obviously, they both had the little flags out here, Derek. This was pretty entertaining. It wasn't as intense as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to start kicking off from the previews when they were showing the previews of them at the weigh-ins. I thought they was going to have a bit of a scuffle, a bit of a maybe a bit of a push and shove here and there, but they never did. What did you make of the stare down there, Derek?
It was decently intense. I was waiting for the shoves and the coaches to have to get in there, but that never happened. Honestly, with the whole flags thing, I get the, national pride, but for me, I don't know. It's just never seemed like the sport isn't about that. And that's one, it's always irked me a little bit when, you got buddy with his Irish flag and then buddy with his Mexican flag. I've never liked that. I always thought that one of the little things that irked me.
Well, apparently, Hector Urbina, he wanted the Mexican flag. He asked for it because Cathal kept walking around with the Irish flag all the time. So that was his reasoning, I think. Just sort of like childish little games in a way, innit? Well, you got your flag every day, so I'm going to go get my Mexican flag. It's quite immature in a way, but I like it. But to me, if they didn't get pulled apart, it was like, whoever moves first and stops the stare down is the pussy in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, if I look away first, then I'm the pussy. It just sort of like, as soon as they got in each other's faces, it's one of those things, isn't it, really? It's like, first one who looks away is the pussy. Now, I guarantee you, Derek, if they didn't get split up, they'll probably still be stood there now. Until one of them got really fucking hungry or needed the toilet, possibly. But, jeez. I love those sort of stare downs, though. They was both invested in it, I'll tell you that much. Neither one pussied out. I think Hector sort of initiated it in a way. He really got into, Cathal's face, and Cathal sort of thought, hey. Even when they got split apart, Hector, kept going forwards, and then fucking Cathal went back for more. So, finally Hector started talking the shit. I don't mind the talking the shit after. It certainly adds a bit of sizzle to the fight. They both came and scrapped it, to be honest with you, but I enjoyed the weigh-ins. I like it when stuff like that goes down. Not so much when you get people like Dustin Poirier, when he squared off with Akira Kurosawa. I didn't like that sort of stuff because it's more disrespectful than anything. When you get in people's face, you start nudging them with your head and start pushing them. I feel like it gets disrespectful, especially when Akira wasn't doing much back. But let's not bring Akira and Dustin Poirier into this, otherwise we'll just be here for another 10 more minutes on that. Now, like I mentioned about the respect for Cathal, did you pick up that a lot of the fighters seem to be respecting Cathal a lot?
I did, and I think it's because everyone kind of knew that he was right close. Like, he probably didn't even have to do TUF. He probably could have just been signed to the UFC. But, they offered him TUF and he accepted it, which, good for him. It'll get his name out there for the American fans and everything, which is pretty important in the UFC.
Now, for me, I'm a big fan of Cathal Pendred, first and foremost. And for me, I don't know, his biggest win, basically, is the Che Mills win back in Cage Warriors for the title, when he defended the title against Che Mills. But, that was his really only international big name on his record. What really shocks me, Derek, is being stateside. Cathal Pendred's never fought in the United States. Now, if he fought in the United States and maybe competed on Bellator one time, I would get it, because you see in past seasons the odd time they mention, certain people's name, like Mac Danzig, because Mac Danzig fought in Pride. But Cathal Pendred's never fought in America. They all know this guy. They're giving him big props. So I was really shocked by that. I would still like to know why, and now they all know about him. Whether it's his name in mixed martial arts, whether it's Cage Warriors, or whether it's just a straight blast gym name, I do not know. But I found it very interesting. Hopefully, as the season goes on, this might actually come out and why they all, why he's got the reputation he has on the show. Now let's move on to the fight here, Derek. Round 1 was pretty much all Hector Urbina. He dropped Cathal Pendred 2 times in round 1. The second time he hit Cathal, Cathal pretty much face planted into the canvas. I thought, shit, he's done. Did you think Cathal was out at that point, Derek?
No. From what it looked like to me, the guy looked like after he took that first big punch, he looked like he had good recovery. I wasn't sold that he was done. I figured that, especially if the other guy started to slow down a little bit, that he was going to be able to survive.
Now, that Hector must have some power in his punches, because it wasn't like there was a big distance between these two. And it wasn't like he talked him in either. It was pretty much, he was close against the cage. Cathal broke off, the exchange punches, and Hector just threw a nice combo, but he didn't get much body weight or leverage behind it, and he knocked him down. You can just tell he's one of these guys who's got a lot of power in his hands. Do you know what I mean? He's got some power punches.
Yeah, absolutely.
It could have been also, Derek, the combination he threw, because if you watch the slow motion replay at the end, he threw it right to the side of his head. Now, taking a punch to the side of the head is not good anyway, because you've got your temple there and you've got your ear. Either way, it can send you off balance. And then straight after, he threw an uppercut, and that uppercut landed right to the point of the chin. Now, if he took it more, if he took it more flush on the chin, like right in the middle, I don't think it would have impacted him as much. But because he took it right on the tip, it's like all that force was hitting the tip of his chin. So I think that's what made it more devastating. But definitely props to Cathal, because, geez, that guy was all over him. And to survive and get dropped again and face plant and still get up. And he got up swinging as well. I suppose there's no other way. You have to swing back when you're recovering, you know. But, yeah, really impressed with Cathal there. I've never really seen Cathal get dropped before. So it tells me, you know, he's got a good chin on him. He recovers well. It tells me he doesn't get anxious and nervous in, like, you know, desperate situations. He kept his composure well and certainly has asserted himself well and survived the round. Now, the game plan going into this, Derek, BJ Penn wanted Cathal to clinch and basically dirty box. I noticed Cathal got the clinch against the cage, mainly in round 1, but he didn't do much dirty boxing for me, though. He broke off a couple of times and threw like a 3 or 4 punch combo, but Hector would just like basically smash him. He would like fucking smash him with left and right's back, and that's where Hector did the best of his work, basically. And it was because of the game plan of BJ Penn, basically. Now, it's funny as well, because BJ wanted Cathal to like street fight with Hector, but it fucking turned out that Hector was a better street fighter. Now, obviously, we know when going into a fight, you can create a game plan, but you do not know if it's going to work, basically, do you? And they only had little footage on Hector Urbina, so you can't blame them for the game plan, but certainly that one backfired, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you say that Hector got the better of the slugging exchanges there, Derek?
Yeah, he was definitely winning the stand-up. It might not have been a huge margin, but he was definitely winning the stand-up.
He's had more street fights, hasn't he, Derek? He's certainly had more street fights. Now, in round 2, basically, Cathal come out. He got the double leg, which basically I felt like he should have done from the get-go, to be honest. I think he should have scrapped all his clinching against the cage shit. I think he should have just took Hector down and controlled him on the ground. What Cathal did start doing well was the over-under control from north-south position in round 2. He landed some pretty nasty knees there late in round 2, I believe, which that really turned the momentum of the fight for me. As soon as he started landing those knees, it was like Hector's heart was disappearing in the fight. It certainly changed the momentum, because all round 1 was Hector. Round 2 was pretty close. You could feel Cathal starting to get back in the fight. He was starting to take over, but as soon as he started landing those knees, it was like, damn, this is Cathal's fight now. There was a couple of illegal knees thrown from Cathal near the end of round 2. Steve Mazzagatti gave Cathal a warning in between rounds 2 and 3. Now, this is what bothered me with this, Derek. Now, Cathal said to Steve, can you tell me when he pulls his arm down? So basically, you know, he knows not to throw a knee. Now, Steve got all shitty about this and said, I'm not responsible for your weapons, basically, and what you throw. Can I get your thoughts on that, please, Derek, first and foremost?
Me, honestly, I liked it. It isn't the ref's job to tell a fighter when he can do something. It's the fighter's job to know when he can do it. I always liked, I can't remember who did it. It wasn't that long ago. When you have a guy in that position, he has his hand on the ground, lift him up so he can't put his hand on the ground and then knee him in the face.
See, for me, I'm a bit opposite to you on it. I think the ref, because, look, this is a move that can get a point taken away from a fighter. Also, it can get the fighter disqualified. Say if you cut somebody off an illegal knee, you're disqualified. So to me, I don't believe in taking points or disqualifying somebody if it wasn't intentional. You know, like if you headbutt somebody and they get caught, it's a no contest. Or they score it on who was winning the fight at that time. Now, when you throw a knee and this guy's got his hand down and you can't see, because all of a sudden you lift the guy up, because you can stretch, you can be pretty high up and still stretch really far and get your hand to touch the mat. And you might think that he's not got his hand down, you know. And you throw a knee, you cut this guy open and you get disqualified. It just seems wrong. I think like the referee should help out a little bit there. You know, Steve's in a perfect position. He could shout, you know, no illegal knees, his hands down, you know, and then he'll know. But that's the way I feel it should go. Just because you can get points taken away and because you can get disqualified, I think it's a tricky position because you can't see. And of course you should attack from that position. You're in a good position. If you want to throw knees, you shouldn't be like stabbing in the dark with this shit. You know, you should. Then again, BJ Penn said it's okay. I'll tell you when his hand's down. So maybe it is a corner thing. You know, the corners could do it and not the referee. So that sort of does take away the argument. I like to look at all sides, but sometimes if you can't hear your corner, you're in a packed arena. You know, I believe the rest should help out. But this is an interesting one here, Derek, because obviously we disagree. So to any listeners, please post below and give us your thoughts on that. If you think the referee should tell you when the fighter's hand is touching the mat, so you don't throw an illegal strike. That's a really interesting subject there. Maybe we can come back to that on a future show there, Derek. But I'm sure I've heard a referee in the past, I can't remember which one, tell the fighter that his hand was down when the guy's hand was up. Have you ever seen that, Derek?
I probably have, but I can't recall exactly when I would have seen it.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to round 3 here, Derek. Basically, we had 2 rounds. I had it scored 19-19 going into round 3. Is that how you scored it too, Derek?
Absolutely.
Pretty clear cut, wasn't it, really? Obviously, the 2 knockdowns. The only thing you could have asked of round 1, could it have been a 10-8 because of the 2 knockdowns? Now, obviously, this is in Las Vegas, you know. Boxing judges might have been there. That could have been a little tricky for Cathal there, don't you think?
I think certain judges could have gave that a 10-8 if Cathal wouldn't have got straight back up and fought through it like he did. You know, maybe it would have been a 10-8 if he would have, you know, struggled a little more. But he got hurt, and he got straight back up and went back to the fight.
Are you glad that they didn't score it a 10-8 round?
Yeah, that I would have definitely disagreed with that.
Well, judging from the previews, there's a really bad decision going to happen in this season, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what that's all about. Did you see that one, Derek?
Yeah, I did.
It's like this damn near right going off in the fucking gym.
Yeah, I know, and Dana White's bitching out the judges, and sometimes it has to happen. What was that?
Yeah.
I can't remember what season it was. Buddy won a fight when he pretty much his opponent had his back for 2 whole rounds. Michael Hill, I think it was, won a fight, and pretty much the guy on it had his back. I can't remember what season it was.
It could have been Josh Hill off Ronda Rousey versus Tate. There's a guy called Hill on there.
It was before that. It was some guy from
Corey. Was it Corey Hill?
No.
Corey Hill? No.
No, I think it was from TUF 14. Okay, it was one of those weakest TUF casts they've done ever. This guy who won, his opponent had his back for like 3/4 of the fight. He won the fight somehow. Like they were saying, like They were wondering if the judges got the names mixed up because it was such a stupid decision. Like, how could they have scored that fight for him? But
Well, you saw what happened with Ian McCall and Mighty Mouse. Do you remember that? Where one of the judges scored it for the other person. He actually got the person mistaken and got it the wrong way around. That's absolutely ludicrous. They had to have a rematch because of that. That's ridiculous.
yeah,
The judge got the fucking fighter mixed up. It's not like they look the same. Fucking Uncle Creepy's got a fucking pirate beard. He looks like a fucking pirate gone wrong. King Mighty Mouse is this little fucking black dude jumping around the cage. It's fucking fast as lightning. Do you know what I mean?
Let's be honest. One's white and one's black. Like, how do you fuck that up?
That's just, if you're going to go and do your job as a judge, and that's like a high profile job now, you know, you're messing with people's careers. This is like a multi-million fucking dollar sport, this, you know. It's not like messing around at like a fucking college basketball or something or whatever. This is like worldwide. This is on TV around the world. This is millions of people watching. And you've been put in a position to judge this fight at probably the highest level you can. And this is a title tournament, and you fucking get the wrong person. You scored the wrong person. You get it all mixed up. That is absolutely crazy. And personally, I thought what the judges said went. I didn't think that you could go and change. That's chopped and changed over the years. All of a sudden, it was what the judges decided there and then, and it couldn't be changed. Now all of a sudden they start changing this and that. Things have been turned to no contest. You know, I think that's getting a little bit stupid, but that really is just another show too there, Derek. But let's get back onto the fight here. Now, basically, Kafal come out. He got the double leg. He was controlling with that north-south over underhooks. Basically, like just holding him there like a vice grip, basically. I did notice that they started off on all fours, like Hector was on his knees, and Hector would not stand up. Do you think that was because of the knees in round 2, and those knees at the end of round 2 actually hurt him? So when Kafal did get that north-south position again, you know, do you think he was sort of afraid of those knees?
Yeah, I think, and you know, that's common sense, really. Like, why put yourself in a position where you can get kneed in the head, where you can stay in the north-south, and the worst he can do to you is knee on the shoulder.
He was waiting till Kafal broke the grip. I noticed that. Once Kafal broke the grip, he attacked a single leg. So maybe that's what he was waiting for. But still, there was like half the round gone, and he's still in that position. Finally, he did try and get up. But when he did, if you notice, Kafal was just riding on him. And he couldn't stand up for no more than 5 seconds. Every time he's standing up, his back was giving out. He like stood up for 5 seconds, and his back would give out. He must have tried like 4 times. I'm telling you now, Derek, I've done like deadlifts, right? His lower back must have been fucking killing. I bet he felt like he must have done like 100 deadlifts with like 200 pounds of Kafal Pendred on him. Seriously, his lower back must have been fucking jacked after that fight. He must have been in agony in bed. I bet he had an ice pack and everything next day because he could not stand up in the end. And I tell you what I really love about that. That was a really good move. I've not seen many fighters use that, and well, I've not seen them use it to that effect before. Have you, Derek? Where they basically get you in a north-south and then they hold on to you and basically make you bend over for most of the fight and just hold on to you. I've never seen it used like that before. Have you, Derek?
I can't say I've ever seen it used for that long. I've seen guys do it in short spurts where they'll kind of try and, you know, hold a guy down and just put pressure and lay on him. But yeah, he did it for, you know, half a round, like you said. Hector must have been burnt out. Holy, I couldn't imagine trying to get up with, you know, 200 pounds, and that guy's probably about solid muscle laying on top of you. That just doesn't sound fun whatsoever.
Well, obviously this wasn't the win what Kafal Pendred wanted, but do you think this has opened up a few holes in his games to the other competitors? Because obviously they're getting front row seats to, you know, your mistakes. Do you think there was anything there to pick up on where Kafal was sort of weak?
Well, his stand-up, if you can stop him from taking you down and stand with him, you know, the guy's beatable. I've heard people hype him up as a future UFC champion, and I didn't see it. This is the first time I've seen him fight, and, you know, obviously he's young and he can improve, but he looked very beatable to me. Lima, I think his name is, who's in the
Yeah.
house, could very well knock him the fuck out and become like the, ultimate fighter. If they don't meet, before the show even is done taping or whatever.
Yeah. Well, they've been touted as the finalists, really, the two favourites. But obviously, we've seen in past seasons it doesn't work out that way. But this had this had the hallmarks of the Ronda Rousey Misha Tate season, where Juliana Pena took on Shayna Baszler, and the better fighter was losing because the lesser talented opponent had more desire and fire in him. Now, I felt Cathal started off a bit slow. He was going to use his skill. Like, I'll come in here, I'll play my game plan. I'll grapple with this guy. It didn't work out that way because fucking, Hector came to scrap. And round one, geez, I think he shocked Cathal. And obviously, Cathal come out and did his thing. But yeah, it had that sort of feel to me. Shit, one of the favourites is going out in the first round already. Automatically I just thought of Shayna Baszler in that Juliana Pena fight. I was like, geez, it's going to happen. But obviously, where Shayna Baszler couldn't come back. I'm not knocking Juliana Pena, but in certain grappling situations in that fight, I felt like Shayna Baszler, you could tell that she was the better grappler. Just heart and determination, just sheer fucking fire in her just shone through, and, just the scrappiness. But that's the way I felt about it. But I asked you about weaknesses in Cathal Pendred's game. Now, there was something here, Derek. I mentioned that he had the north-south for a long time. He had the over-under, As soon as you got that underhook on the arm and you're underneath that armpit, you can attack anacondas, you can attack dash chokes, the full lot. It was all there for fucking, about a good 8 or 9 minutes of the fight, of a 15-minute fight. He had the opportunity. And not one time did he go for a submission attempt. I was really shocked by that. Do you think he could be lacking in that area there, Derek, or do you think he was just mainly sticking to the game plan?
I think he was just trying to get that first win. And if it didn't occur to him that he could go for those chokes, BJ Penn will sort that out, and you should see him going for those chokes in his next fight, because I can't see BJ Penn sitting there and being like, oh yeah, no, don't worry about trying to finish this fight, because BJ Penn finishes fights, and if he can find a way that, his guy can get a submission with doing what he does best, he's going to show him how to do it.
Well, Cathal Pendred did go on to win the fight, 29-28, obviously, for the listeners at home. This is a spoiler, so my apologies if I've just spoiled the result for you. Up next, we have, on episode 3, we have the light heavyweights in Daniel Spawn. He takes on Todd Monahan. These guys look like fucking brutes, Derek. I don't know much about these guys, but damn, do these guys look like someone's going to get knocked out in this episode, do you think?
I absolutely think someone's going to sleep.
One looks like fucking a younger version of Todd Duffy. One punch is just going to knock your lights out. The other one just looks like,
Rampage.
It looks like I'd say more of a Bobby Lashley physique. This guy's, he's got a bit of a Rampage. It's like Bobby Lashley and Rampage mixed in. He's fucking huge. Apparently, both have knockout power. I watched the opening fights, but I can't remember too well. I'm sure both fighters won by knockout, both these two. This could be fucking a brutal fight. But obviously, we've seen the preview of episode 3. Obviously, there's a bit of preaching going on. The God thing, and Cathal had a few things to say about, him preaching to be a man of God when he walks around with big chains on and, big gold bracelets and whatnot. What did you make of the preview for episode 3 there, Derek? Did it get you excited?
I wouldn't say excited. I'm going to tune in because I want to see these two guys scrap.
Yeah, for sure.
And what Cathal said about that guy, I thought that it's so true. I almost applauded the TV when he said that. I was like, good. I hope he calls him out on to his face, because I always love when people who are overly religious and are preachy about it get put in their place. I don't mind religious people, but don't preach.
Well, I'm interested to see what he's doing. It looks like he's got the whole house sat down, basically. It looks like he's kitted out the fucking front room of the house, and it's like he must have them all sat down and preaching in front of them all. I'm not too sure. That'll be interesting to see how that one turns out. But yeah, I'm with you, Derek. I'm I'm looking forward to this fight pretty much. That's the main reason I'm going to be tuning in next week. It's for the fight. These guys, it might not even last long, to be honest, Derek. It might be like a 10-second fight.
If I'm
So who knows?
not mistaken, Greg, I think I don't know these two guys' names. The guy who looks like Todd Duffy.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken,
That's
Daniel Spawn. He had that knockout where Buddy was coming at him with everything, and he just tagged him, and Buddy went down just like violently face first. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that was him.
Okay, I'm just checking now, Derek, on these two guys. Hopefully I can give you a little bit of background on them and listeners at home. Now, I've just got Dan Spawn up first. His nickname is the Dragon. He's 29 years of age. He's got a record of 8-3. He's on a 2-fight winning streak. Before that, he was on a 3-fight losing streak in Bellator. So he's a Bellator veteran here. He's got a decent amateur record too. So looking at his record, you wouldn't think he's UFC caliber personally. Speaking of knockouts, I'm going on about knockouts. He's been to a decision more than anything. So, geez, looks are deceiving, Derek?
I'm a little disappointed. I'm not gonna lie.
Now, moving on to Todd Monahan. He's got a record of 5-3.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
Again, he lost to UFC light heavyweight, well, former UFC light heavyweight, Razak Al Hassan. He's on a 3-fight winning streak with a couple of knockouts, so might add a little bit of zest to it, but not the hot prospects what I was hoping for.
5-3, that's not a UFC record. Like 8-3 maybe, 10-3. Those are UFC records. 5-3.
If you took away his last 3 wins, he'd be like 2 wins, 3 losses. And a loss to a light heavyweight. But he basically took 2 years away from the sport, and he's only fought once every year since then. He fought one time in 2011, he fought one time in 2012, and he fought one time in 2013. So he's only fought one time every year. And the last guy he beat, listen to this, Derek, the last guy he beat had a record of 3 wins, 2 losses.
So these guys are basically, these guys are basically fighting regionals, like fighting nobody.
The guy he beat before that was 3 wins, 5 losses. Geez, probably Cathal Pendred could knock this guy out. No wonder he's talking shit at him. Cathal could go up in weight and smash this guy, I think. I think the guy who just lost today, this Hector, I think he could probably smash these guys. It's really strange because they look like a couple of fucking monsters. They look like really hot prospects. I'll give him a go, but geez, that's took a bit of a sting out of next episode for me.
Yeah, that sucks. I hate when they're seeing these tough guys who have like these nobody records and like that guy. There's no way that like 5-3. That guy's a nobody. That guy will never make it in the UFC. He might be decent in like Legacy Fighting Championship if he's lucky. Like, unless like there's always like that miracle guy like Matt Brown.
Yeah.
Like Matt Brown is. I seen his record, years ago, and was like, this guy's a loser. Who's he? Now he's, like top 10 guy. So, it can happen, but I wouldn't bank on it.
Well, you say that, Derek. Let me just check Michael Johnson. I'm sure Michael Johnson didn't have the best record when he went into the Ultimate Fighter. But now look at him. He's like a real contender. Let me just check. Before he entered the Ultimate Fighter house, he had a record of... He had a record of 8-4. Now that wasn't the best, so yeah, do you know what? This could push him into the limelight, give him extra money, get a chance to train with a decent gym, get some decent training partners, some decent coaches. So yeah, I'm going to give these guys the benefit of the doubt, and this is what the Ultimate Fight is about, I suppose. Personally, I would like to see a little bit more better talent, but you can't get like guys like from the Ultimate Fighter 17 every season, I suppose, can you? That was a really star-studded season for me. That Coming off the back of 16, which 16 had a couple of good guys, but, you know, not like season 17. I think that was the best for many years, to be honest with you. But hopefully these guys, you know, put a good show in next episode. And with that, Derek, thanks for joining me today.
No problem, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Okay, from MMA Crypt's Fighting Talk, thank you for watching.